Welcome to podcast number 5 for Savage Factor. Riding over here today to sit down for today's talk, and we were trying to think about what exactly we were going to talk about, and I think we had some good thoughts come up, and when it came down to going back and forth as to why we each are doing all this, why we're running, why we're lifting, why we're putting in the effort to keep ourselves fit and ready for all that life brings. So, I'll jump in and throw the ball your way and kind of let you lead. So,
yeah, I think it's a good question. You gonna ask a question?
Yes, I am. Mr. Reardon, why do you stay fit? Why do you run 50, 75, 80 miles?
Well, most recently I haven't been running at all, and we've talked about that. But I guess to answer your question of, why do we do what we do? Why do we stay fit? Why do we go to the gym? Why do we push ourselves? To me, it means a couple different things. There was a while that I wasn't fit. I wasn't in shape.
Just say it.
I was a large man. At the time, I always kind of felt like I was a big dude, but looking back at the pictures, it was pretty clear. And at that time, I wasn't doing things like hiking. I wasn't doing things to, challenge myself. But previously, earlier in my life, through high school, I was very active. And then there was just periods of time there where I let it slip away. And I guess for me is you get used to feeling like shit when you're not doing the things you should be doing. And what it takes is turning the tide and getting yourself in shape. And once you've gotten yourself into shape and you have that, you don't want to let it go. Or I don't want to let it go. I don't want to slip back to, you put in all that work to get there. Why would you let it go? I feel like it's brought me, health and fitness has brought me all kinds of joys in life. How many mountains have we summited where it's just not possible for somebody who's not fit to do so? How many times have I, late into the hours, we've talked about all the races, just last year, but I personally have gone on, long distance runs, just leave the house and run. And it's such a freeing feeling to be in good enough shape to you just go.
Well, it just opens up a lifetime of opportunities without limitations. It's...
Yeah, 100%. There's, if you're unhealthy, you don't realize the limitations you're putting on your life. And those, I don't want to say that you have to be healthy to be happy, but I don't think you're realizing your true happiness until you're living healthy. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be an ultra marathon runner. You don't have to be, a world-class bodybuilder. That's not healthy. Healthy is, an 85-15 split of eating healthy. It's making the right decisions 75% of the time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, extremes. To me, it's, most of your grocery cart comes from the perimeter of the grocery store and not the center. Like, that's my idea of healthy. It's, you have to live, but to me, living healthy means that. It means putting your best foot forward. Does that mean you don't have ice cream or cake, if we have a birthday party? Does that mean I don't stop to get an ice cream in the summertime? But to me, it's silly, but the work you put in on a daily basis, that allows for those joys in life.
And it restricts you from going overboard because you know how hard it was to get to that point. So it's like, I have some of the cake, but I'm not going to overdo it because I know what's going to need to be done to make up for that.
Well, all great things, no matter what they are, they're in moderation. Mm-hmm. You can love ice cream. You can't love ice cream every day. You can enjoy an adult beverage. You can't enjoy one every single day. Whether it's a glass of wine, a beer,
Espresso martini,
a margarita at the local taco joint. It doesn't matter. Anything you do, it needs to be in moderation. And if you live your life with that healthy balance, like we've talked about, it just brings you, it opens more doors to you than you would normally have.
I think because we've talked to a lot of people, and you could argue you were that person, and I'm sure I've had things where when you do something for so long that affects your health and the way you feel changes slowly over a year, 5 years, 10 years, you forget how you used to feel.
Oh,
if that shift happened overnight, like if on a Monday you felt like you did when you were 20, and then on a Tuesday you felt like you do potentially now from unhealthy eating and drinking, I would argue more people would go back. But the shift is gradual, and you don't realize it.
You get accustomed to it.
Yeah.
You get accustomed to, you slack off your diet, and I don't even like to say diet, because again, for me, I've tried to change it to, it's not a diet, it's just a way of lifestyle. It's just trying to eat
Which is
more.
what a diet is. When you look at any other animal, a diet is...
Exactly.
It's just what they eat. It's not lack of anything. It is what they eat.
Right. And to me, like I said, it's funny that the conversation you asked opened so many doors, but to your point of, when everybody thinks of diet, they think of restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, and you can speak for you, like, I'll go back to one of the things that really opened my eyes, and one of, at a previous employer when I was working there, they had a dietitian. Now that dietitian would come in once a week and set up in the break room and talk to employees about health. And there was no joke that, I wouldn't say I was a huge soda guy, but it was, sugar in the coffee, it was sugary drinks. So she had a thing laid out with, different cups with different amounts of sugar in it. And then at the end, there was the one for your daily allowance of sugar. And, one say was a sweet tea, this is how much sugar it has, a Red Bull, all of these things. And at the end, I'm like, well, what is that? What is that one? Well, that's your daily allowance of sugar, for the average person. And I was, she's like, yeah, what is that? And I'm like, it's like,
that's one coffee.
Like, yeah, that's a cup of coffee, and we like to have multiple. And for me, that was a real eye opener. So from then on, I had no sugar in my coffee, and it seems so like it was an extreme change to go from sugar in my coffee to none. But I tell you, it didn't take more than a week of drinking coffee with no sugar It was actually a taste I enjoyed. It was something. It wasn't like I was missing the sugar. It became. And then I remember going in one day, and I had employed. Oh, I got coffee. So everybody hands me a coffee. I took one sip, and I'm like, I can't drink it. I can't drink this coffee. What do you mean? I'm like, it's just way too sweet. But those are the things like you said. That change didn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. You weaned off it. And then somebody hands it to you, and you're like, I can't do it. Like, you haven't had a soda in forever.
I still think I'd like it, but...
You'd like it, but you would know as you're doing it, I couldn't do this every day. Like, your body would tell you, we can't stop every day and have a soda on the way home. Yeah. It's just one of those things that, it's hard to put into words, but...
Well, I remember a couple years ago, I was with a buddy. We stopped at Dunkin' Donuts, and we each got a coffee, and they had messed up on mine or his, I forget. And it was, instead of a black hot coffee, it was Hunka Munka Mocha.
Oh, yeah, breakfast.
With sugar and
dessert in a cup.
Creams and
7 pumps of this and 2 pumps of that.
We had driven off at the point we realized it, and he's like, "Do you want it?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna take a sip."
Sure, I'll enjoy it.
Holy smokes! It was. Needless to say, we just chucked it. But to think that people drink that on a daily basis.
Well, and to me, like you said, I don't. And we've talked about it before. Nick's not a dietitian. I'm not a dietitian. We're not personal trainers. We're none of those things. But all I can tell you as a person is if you watch the average order at Dunkin' Donuts, it's not healthy.
No.
It can't be, like, it literally can't be
It just
healthy.
can't be.
If you see the amount of sugar that goes into these drinks, and that's how people are starting their day. That's just the start to their day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wonder why, you know, and unfortunately we see some kids drink and you wonder why the kids have problems. Like, as far as, like, behavioral problems and things like that, I mean, as a society, you know, it opens our door to kind of a conversation Nick and I had today, and, you know, I'll put it out there for you guys, and you know, we welcome comments. We want some interaction from you guys. But I had asked Nick, you know, we got talking about what the government's doing right now with restricting dyes and all that. And I guess I've always, not to necessarily speak on government or whatever, but I'm less government, more decision making for the person. Like, do I think it's right to order that drink from Dunkin' Donuts? No, I think you're killing yourself. Do I welcome the fact that you can go get it? Yeah. I mean, you choose how you want to live. Yeah. And I think when we start restricting some of those freedoms, you know, is when we get into a problem too as a society. But, and the point that you had brought up was, you know, people that are struggling to try to eat healthy on a lower income, and all of these dyes, and how many things do we see that say organic, or, you know, are marketed towards healthy, and then you read the back and they've got an artificial sweetener that's terrible for you,
yeah.
Or, you know, a dye in it that, you know, isn't good for you. How many times do we see that? You know?
Oh, all the time. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is like smoking. You know, it is a choice. It's a premium to buy it, so it's almost like, to make that work with the food, it should be if you really love red dye and Blue Lake number 3, it should be a premium to buy those things. And
right.
It should be on the other end to get a more natural thing. But
yeah, it shouldn't be snuck in, like. And the funny thing is it's not difficult to create things that don't have all that stuff in it. It's just this big money. You're fighting big money to take it out.
Yeah, I don't know the whole structure of it. Like, why you would think to color something with, like, beet juice would
right.
be cheaper than manufacturing red dye
right.
number 40.
But I think also part of that, and again, it's not my specialty, but I believe a lot of it is it's shelf life and preservative, yeah. To a point. And, you know, the hard part is how do you eliminate that and still allow people to be able to afford to eat healthy, you know? And I've always said, again, not a dietitian, and a lot of people say,
when we're going to start a ticker for home.
Well, no, this will be my last rant on it, but a lot of people will tell you it costs a lot to eat healthy. And the only pushback that I put on that is a lot of the crap that you fill your body with in the middle of the grocery store is all like sugar-based, fake carbs, you know, instant satisfaction of your hunger, and then an hour later you're hungry. Where, you know, I'm not pushing any meat diet or anything like that, but the perimeter of the grocery store, the eggs, the fruit, the vegetables, the meat, the fish, if you're eating that kind of stuff, it's hard to overeat. You know, we've heard it on other podcasts, and I would challenge you, sit down with 2 or 3 steaks, see if you can eat them all. It won't happen. It won't.
You know, you've tried.
No, I haven't tried. Nick got me a steak that was probably this thick,
nice,
by like that big for my birthday. And we really planned out when we were going to eat that because it was big.
Well, just to rein it back into the original question, like, all right, just sum up in a couple sentences, like legit couple sentences. Why do you stay fit? What do you think about when you're struggling that motivates you to bring you back to center to keep going?
I think about my kids. I think about making sure that my kids see me healthy and my kids see me putting in hard work and knowing that it's okay when things get difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my answer to you. I think about my kids and making sure that they see the example of being able to show up and put in the hard work, and it's not always pretty. Now I'll ask you, why do you do it? Why do you put in the hard work?
I just want to look good in the Speedo.
God. Remind me not to come to the pool.
Yeah. No, so as you get to know more about us and our journeys and who we are and our families, we'll dig into some deeper stuff. On the surface, it's kind of twofold. The most selfish thing is confidence. Like, to me, building muscle, being in better shape builds confidence. I can show up a better man for myself and everybody else. Like, that's...
Well, you feel there's no doubt with more muscle, and you feel...
Yeah, for sure.
You walk into a room...
You show up a better person. You show up with more authoritative... just...
more of a masculine figure.
Yes, exactly. I was a skinny dude. I'm still skinny. I'm getting there. I put on some muscle. Best shape I've ever been. So not that's number one. I'll get that one out of the way because I feel like that's a little bit more self-centered. Whatever.
Yeah, but
the other reason, kind of like what you said for my kids. So we have 2 kids, an 11-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter. Our daughter has special needs. She was born with a rare genetic syndrome, and she's very much dependent on my wife, myself, her brother as he gets older, and she will be for her entire life. Yeah. So my wife said something that hit close a couple months ago, and I think she may have heard it from another parent of a similar type child. Mm-hmm. It was, I don't ever want my child to not be able to participate because I'm not strong enough or have the stamina to bring them.
Oh, absolutely.
Like my wife brings our daughter to adaptive baseball. It is a lot of physical stress.
Well, how about when your wife's talking about like adaptive dance?
Oh yeah,
it solely relies on either yourself or your wife being in the physical shape to do such.
So I want to always be able to carry Ellie. She's tiny. She's 9 and she's 35 pounds.
He says tiny, but she's dense.
Oh, she's dense. She's dense. She's a solid.
She's a brick.
She's a brick house.
It's like carrying a cinder block.
But we are very active, and for us, or for me to have to restrict her not being a part of our hikes and walks, because we're always outside hiking, like full mountains.
Oh yeah. But if you can't throw her on your back,
if she can't go on my back, she can't go. And if she doesn't go, we don't go.
And that's just not right.
That I want. So most recently, I got this vision, and it's really motivated me to push harder in the ultras. Is I think I told you, there's a new company out there developing this like towable hiking buggy thing. It's
with the one wheel.
Yeah. And it essentially straps onto the me.
Yeah.
And
it's a horse and buggy. You're the horse.
So I get this vision and this is like brand new, but to do like a 200-mile ultra and like the last leg be running into the final aid station.
Oh yeah.
Throwing her, getting the harness on, and we just take off and just so it's definitely that.
It's looking at you and looking at you with her. You being able to show up and be fit is going to open. It's unlikely that Ellie's going to do some of the things that we've done or we're doing and experience those things without your help and without you being in the condition and physical ability to do so. But watching the things that make her smile and whether it's 5-10 years down the road and she's 19, 20 and you're pushing her in a marathon or you're something like that otherwise, and who knows what the future brings. Maybe she's able to do some of it on her own or not, but definitely like to have it in the back of your head that's why you show up every day. I mean, that's as true as it is. It's as true as it can be. And my question to you that I thought of, this week, and I wanted to ask you is, that's why you do that, and that's why I show up for my kids. Why is it, do you think, that there's people out there that aren't living up to their full potential and they know it? And my question to you would be, what is it that we can say to those people, or, why is it, and I struggle with this, is how do we open those individuals' eyes to the fact that they're so much more capable than they're willing to put in?
For me personally, I think they're overcomplicating how to get started. Okay. I think, because looking back on what we've done, I think you can get excited about changing through the most simple thing. Like, I'd imagine you're talking about people that live a very sedentary lifestyle. They know they can do more, and they're just existing. Those people, they're just existing. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The people that I would say that they're not thriving, they're not drowning, but they're just existing.
Yeah, I think if they were just to pick something that is an interest of theirs, it doesn't have to be anything fit. Like, heck, it could just be getting their confidence up, learning a new language or something. I think fitness is going to be the thing for most people, but maybe it's eating right. Maybe it's getting rid of the soda, like exactly what you did.
Right.
Black coffee to start, and after a week, you realize how much better you feel. And all it takes is that quick, I do feel better. And that's the addictive part. That's what you're chasing.
It's the 2 or 3 days, once you had it out of your system, that's when you can really feel the change. And like you said, that's what, to me, it's like a fish in a hook. It's like, I feel good. I don't want to go back to, and you talk to, like recently I was talking to an individual that smoked, and they talked about the fact that they quit. They didn't quit, they got sick. They were sick for like a week and a half, like badly sick. Didn't smoke for a week and a half. Felt great. But as soon as they felt good again, picked it right back up. And it's like, and everybody's got their own journey, and they have to be able to pick their own time. And like we talk about quit smoking, and I know multiple people that have smoked and multiple people that have quit, and I think they'll all say, you got to do it for you. Like, if you were a smoker, I could want it for you all I want,
I don't believe that all the time. I think you can do it for somebody else.
Oh, there's no doubt. But I think at the end of the day, you can do it for somebody else, but you have to make up your mind that you're doing it. But it's the funny piece of going back to, like you said, of as soon as you get it out of your system, whether it's the sugar, whether it's you go on a 3-day walking streak after work, like it could be something as simple as that. Like, you're not a very active person, but you make a thing right now today. Every night after work, me and my wife, me and my kids, we're going for a walk. 20 minutes, we're walking, 2 miles, whatever it is. Do that 3 or 4 days, and then tell me by the 5th or 6th day that you're not like, I want to go for that walk.
Well, that's the addicting part. Like, when I started putting on muscle and you do the flex in the mirror and you see something, it's like,
right.
You want more of that.
And the hard part is, and like we talked about when we were talking with Eric, like muscle. Like, we both know it's not, you didn't go to the gym 3 times and then look in the mirror and go, oh, there's a change. It's a habit that you created, and then the gains came.
Yep.
And it's no different than, we talked about running. Like, I said to Nick that I truly feel, and I'll let you guys know, but I haven't been able to run since January. And even before January, it was the winter time here in Maine, so I slacked off and I hadn't run a ton. I was active, but I hadn't run a bunch. But I swear to you guys, having it taken from me and not being able to do it, I'm pretty positive you're going to hear me say that I'm running like every other day or every day, even if it's a little bit. Like to have it taken from you, and I haven't been able to do hardly any cardio. And I was telling Nick on the ride over, like I am like a horse in the gate at the Derby, just chomping for that door to open. And it doesn't even, for me, like obviously I can walk. And I've been pushing it a little bit here and there with the weight vest, but just to get out and go for a jog, like
yeah. Well, that's when a lot of people make the change, though. It's when something's taken from them. A lot of times, it's not an Achilles that is going to heal. It's
right.
It's cancer.
Right.
It's heart disease. It's many other things.
Oh yes, a lot of people wait too long.
Yeah. So one of the big things that our guest from last week, Eric, mentioned, I just want to give him the credit because he kind of put this bug in my ear a couple weeks ago. He's like, dude, I've had to just decide that I can't live through like my primal instincts. He's like, if I really wanted to be me, I would just eat candy and cake. Like he's like, down to my core, that's what I want to do. I want to eat junk food, watch movies on the couch, let my beard, I just want to be a slob. Like, to my core, that's me. I need to beat that down every day.
Right.
So it's like, get that out of your mind that you have a sweet tooth and that's just you and you can't control it. Like, we all have things. I could eat a whole cake.
Right.
I guarantee you I could eat a whole cake.
What I love is, I heard, Rogan was talking to an individual. I obviously listen to his podcast a lot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you know.
No,
because you should bring him on.
He had an individual on. He was talking about his fitness, and he said, "I have my inner bitch thoughts, and then I've got a guy that I call the general. And when it comes time to doing stuff, the general is the guy that tells me we don't listen to the bitch thoughts. We have to overcome it." And to your point, it's okay to have those thoughts. It's okay to be like, I just really want to I could devour this whole cake. Then you need to have a thought in your mind of, we'll have a slice of cake.
Yeah.
We don't need to eat the whole cake. Now, if we eat the whole cake over the course of 2 weeks because we had a slice every day, then that's one thing. But, to be able to, and we've talked about it a million times, and I truly believe if you want to change, you have to change your mindset. You have to change your mind because the mind is so much more powerful than our bodies. It's so much more powerful than anything out there. It's the strongest computer that exists. Yeah. And if you can reset your mindset to your point of, I've just always had a sweet tooth. No, it's okay. You like sweets. That's okay. We can't have sweets every day. We can't have sweets 3 times a day. We can't have stashes of sweets all over the house. And you might need to be, my wife makes those comments sometimes about if there's chocolate in the house, I'm going to eat it. Okay, don't have chocolate in the house. If that's what it takes, then just don't have it in the house. And for me, I'm not a huge chocolate guy, but if it's there, I might eat it, I might not. But I don't have a huge problem with walking away from it. Now, her mindset is, if it's here, I know it's here, my brain wins, I got to eat it. Then don't have it. That's me. Right. How fitting that it would be your sister and you have the same mindset.
And don't act like you're innocent in all this. No. I've heard stories about the ice cream.
Ice cream.
The day after your surgery, what did I buy you? 2 pints of ice cream?
I took him, we went out to eat, and there were 2 ice cream places on the way home. We stopped at the first one. He made a joke about stopping at the second one.
But you can't get another one.
Bet I can. I'm not a big sweets and candy and, like M&M, that kind of stuff. But, man, I tell you what, some ice cream. Whoo.
So, yeah, and a big one I hear is I'm just not a runner. And that we can latch onto that, and I would argue, I bet you are if something's chasing you.
Right.
The right side thing's
Right.
chasing you. You're a runner. You're not a runner right now.
Right.
I always said I'm never gonna be a bulky muscle man. I don't have the
Right.
frame. I missed some DNA structure. And I know now, I just didn't want it bad enough.
Right.
I wasn't willing to put in the work.
Right.
I could be, and even today, if
Oh,
I
yeah.
dedicated more time, I could pack it on more.
There's no
I'm
doubt.
happy with the rate it's going.
Right.
So yeah, you need
There's
to
no doubt. If you wanted to devote, if you locked your brain in and was like, these are my goals, I want to, and you set the goals for yourself, there's not a doubt, regardless of your frame, you would have to tack it on different.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt you could do it. Like, I would challenge people, I know you're not a big UFC guy, but you look at John Bones Jones. He was called Bones because he was skin and bones.
See any hope for me?
He was a very talented fighter. And now, he is like a heavyweight.
Yeah.
So 255, and I'm talking like, he looks big, but it's not like I'm obese big. And to me, you nailed it. How bad you want it? I'm not a runner. But at the heart of it, we are all runners. At the simplicity of running, we are all that. Now, do you want to devote time? And you don't need to be a runner, but what is, and I'll go back to listening to that documentary, and if you guys haven't, you really should. Whether you're an ultra runner or not, you should chime in and look at The King of Moab and Max Joliff's journey, because it's an amazing documentary. Max Joliff was talking about, he was a skateboarder, got hurt, and put on a bunch of weight, broke his ankle or whatever, and then he had a buddy that was like, just come to the gym. And where I'm going with this story is, through the documentary, he talks about, well, he did some weights and he liked that, but then he found that he was spending 45 minutes to an hour while his buddy was working out. He was on the treadmill.
Okay.
And then one day he said, why am I paying for a membership? Like, I can put on my shoes and walk out my door and run. And I challenge anybody, there's so many people out there that say, I don't have the money for a gym membership.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's even $10 for Planet Fitness, it's just not in the budget. Okay. You know what's in the budget?
What?
Throw your shoes on, you open the door, there's the world.
There's the world.
Whether you walk, whether you run, whether you jog, it's right there. It's free. Where can you go and work out for free?
And once you get that started, there's a lot you could do.
Oh.
And we could obviously give some tips and tricks, but body weight exercises.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I know a guy that legit throws rocks around.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty of stuff you can
Oh,
do.
yeah.
So to get back to your question is why do some people feel stuck?
Yeah, why don't they, why do they know that they're living below their full potential, yet don't feel tapped in to go after it?
So, like I said, they overcomplicate it. And the advice I would give would be to stop with the negatives. I would say stop saying, I am not this, I am not this. If you need to say the words I am not, you could say, I am not a fit person yet.
Right.
Say the word yet, because the yet implies that it's coming. Yet implies that you're going to put in the work, you're going to show up, and it's going to happen. So stop with the negative, flip it to a positive. Even if that's all you can do is the yet, ideally you can be a little more optimistic and excited about it, and set some little goals, just small goals. And it goes back to what you said. Put on a pair of running shoes. Go to Goodwill. Be as cheap as you can so you don't feel like you've invested a whole lot. Go for a walk.
Yep.
Go find a nice park and go for a walk. Find a friend.
Yep.
Wait for the nicest day. That walk's going to turn into a jog. That jog's going to turn into a run. And even if that's where it stops and you're just a jogger, we mentioned this in previous episodes, the confidence that comes from that. That's the seed. That's the seed.
Well, to me, and I would challenge that it doesn't stop there, because you'll start seeing changes through just walking, and you'll like that.
Right. And it may stop at like the jog. That journey stops, but it opens up other doors. Maybe it opens up the weightlifting.
Yep.
Or maybe it opens up. You get into a new relationship because your confidence is up. Like, who knows? You can't put any limits on what's to come.
Yes.
But you gotta just start. And that's the advice I would give. You haven't done it yet. You're not this person yet. So.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I wanted to throw it out to you and see what you had to say, and I think that is the yet part. I really strongly feel is something that a lot of people will definitely tap into using and help them tremendously, because when you don't throw in the yet, you shut off your mind.
Like, it is dead right here.
It stops. Yeah. You've shut off your mind to it even being a possibility. And, you know, the more I thought about it, and I really did, because, again, I work by myself, and I think about it a lot, I think there's a lot of people out there that overcomplicate it.
That's the biggest issue.
And they just sit there, and they spin in their head, and they spin, and nothing gets done, but they want it bad, but they just spin and spin and spin.
The overcomplication of it stops them from even starting. They're like, and they get frustrated. I don't even know where to start. Right. Oh, because I can't even go out and jog, there's no use in walking. Right. When in actuality, that walking is the most important piece. That's where you start.
Well, you know, I'll throw it back to you. All right, so you first started lifting weights. Okay, was it a little bit of a disappointment when you only put a 15 or 20 pound weight on the floor? Like,
the biggest thing. Okay, if you look at that, I knew what I could do. That didn't bother me. It was what everyone else thought.
Right.
I needed to let go of that. So maybe that's the other piece. You need to let go of what everyone else thinks. And beyond that, if those people are judging you, they're not your people.
Right.
You need to be with the people that, like the guy Greg, the trainer that we've been going to. He is there cheering me on with the, up to the 45 on each side now.
Well, like I said, when we go there, because we both go to the same gym, have you ever looked around and seen anybody giving a shit what you're lifting for weight? And to Nick's point is, it's a group of people, they don't give a shit what you're lifting. Is that Nick's best? That's awesome.
That's my best right now.
Is that your best today? Right. That's awesome. And there's no look at Nick. Nick's only got 20s on each side. Yeah. There's none of that. And to your point, and I'll go back to a conversation you and I had back when you talked about not necessarily being open to taking, class type gym.
Yeah, it was that same place.
I went to, I had followed Greg now because Nick started back up, but I had worked with Greg at a different gym, and I really took to I love everything about the gym. I have so much going on in my life. I cannot sit there and plan a workout to save my life. Whether it's an at-home workout, whether it's like I'm going to Planet Fitness, you need to hit this, this, and this. I struggle with that piece. And the gym that we go to, the workout is written down. It's similar. I've never been to a CrossFit gym per se, but it's similar. It's kind of got the workout of the day, and Greg goes around and watches everybody and gives you pointers here and there. But I told Nick, because coming from another gym where Greg taught, and it was that similar mindset, is, he was talking about his vulnerabilities as far as being, seen by other people. And I would say I struggled with that a little bit when I first went, but then immediately you took to learning that it's just a group of people that all want everyone to do great. And, whether you're struggling to put up 45s on each side, you're struggling to put up 10s on each side, everyone there recognizes your struggle. And the struggle for you to put up 45s might be me to put up 80. Like, it doesn't change. You're going through it, and they all can appreciate that. And like Nick said, if you look around and that's what's holding you back is that the people that you're around or you're surrounding yourself with have something to say, they're not your people. You know, and we talked about that in a couple of podcasts ago. Cut your ties with those people because those people aren't the ones going to lift you up. You know, they say iron sharpens iron. Like, you want people with the same mindset. If you don't give a shit what they're lifting for weight, why should they care what you're lifting for weight? You know, it goes back to that. Don't let that stall you out. Don't let what other people's mindset. Because a lot of times, if you look around, like, you showed up and you had in your mind that those people were going to care.
That was the crippling piece for years.
But when you looked around, nobody's even watching you.
No. And not being naive, like, there are places that you could go where you would get judged. You don't go there. Like, it's just, there's bullies and there's negative people out there everywhere.
Well, and I would say,
you know, so it's,
yeah, you find, I would say, and hopefully one day we have Greg on here and he can kind of talk about, you know, the gym and his goal with it and whatnot. But I don't believe anybody like that would survive down there. They'd be asked to not come back.
No,
like,
his is amazing. Like, you would,
but that's what I'm saying. But there are places, but places like that just don't make it because nobody wants to go work out in an environment where you're judged.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I laugh because I don't necessarily agree with everything at Planet Fitness, like like you can't make noise or drop the weights, like, you know, judgment-free zone, which you can be judgment-free and still go hard. Like, so Nick lets out a couple grunts when he's doing his heaviest bench press that he's possible. Like, you know, but no, I think that was a great answer, and I think that had a lot of positive takeaways for people, and I hope that you guys heard what he said about the yet piece, because, you know, to me, as he was talking, that really hits home is if you don't say the word yet, you shut it down. You've just told yourself that that's just not who I am. I can't do it. And, you know, hey, we haven't run 100 miles yet.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. We haven't done it yet.
You can be a certain type of person and do a certain type of thing and feel to your core that, like, I feel there's 100 miles in here. I feel there's 200 miles in here.
Oh, yes.
I just need to put in the work to get it.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard before, I'm a millionaire. They just haven't paid me yet.
Right.
You know? So there's that yet.
And when you have that mindset, but to me, that's a tricky one because you have people that it's easy to say, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to flip 25 houses this year. Or I'm going to grow my business to 500,000. That's all great. And you can say all that. There's a time where the talk has to go goodbye and the work needs to get put in. And when you find that healthy balance, like, you know, we can sit here, and the only reason I can say that and say it with confidence and not seem arrogant is I am not afraid to put the work in. And if I'm saying that I'm going to do something, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. It's going to happen. Now, it may take me 2 more years to hit 100 miles. It could, but it's going to happen. And there's not going to be a time where I look back and go, guys, I came up short. I never hit my 100. And
no, because the people you surround yourself with wouldn't look at it that way. It would just be, it hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened yet.
You know? So there's a lot there. You know, I think we uncovered some pretty good stuff this episode, and I'm excited to share more. I'm not a big sherry guy on personal life, you know, but I know there's a lot to my story, there's a lot to your story. You got some stuff that you've been through, and we're excited to unpack that for everyone because I think there's huge lessons in that.
Yeah, I think we've learned that sharing with you guys is one of the best things we can do because, you know, you don't have to live through it necessarily to learn from it. And, you know, that's one of those things that if we can share some experiences, you know, open up, be a little personal with you guys, and it allows you to take something away without going through the experience we had to either go through or that we go through. It would be that much better.
On that note, what do you think?
I think we'll sign off. Nick's getting ready to go to Texas. What, another week?
Yeah, I'll be there. I leave next Friday, so we can. Yeah,
we're going to challenge too. We don't want to challenge you guys to jump on, leave us a comment.
Yeah.
Leave us a comment, leave us a review, even if it's something simple or you want to hear more of something, less of something. We're open, and I think we have some new stuff coming as far as shirts and whatnot.
I was just gonna say we could do
possibly
yeah.
Leave a couple of reviews. Leave some comments, and we'll pick somebody and we'll send something your way.
And we get some sweet racing hats. These are the trucker hats, but we went back for a couple different designs. And what's the other thing we got?
Couple shirts. If you happen to be local and you see us at, we're going to be in Pineland in May.
Oh yeah, come on out to Pineland Farms Memorial Day weekend. It's Saturday morning.
Pineland Trail Fest, I think is the name. But I think we got stickers to put on our tent that say Satisfactory. So if you happen to see that, stop on over, and we might be there, we might not be there. You might run into, our wives might be there or not.
We won't have to wait too long, no more than an hour, and we'll be back.
Yeah. And, back every loop.
You can come run with me and walk with him, or run with him. I don't know what he's going to do yet, but that'll be a good one. So that's actually amazing to think if we had a couple people show up.
Oh, that would be great. We'd love to. If you happen to be up there and you do watch this, and just stop by and show us some love.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think. So on that note, we're going to sign out, and you guys have a good night.
Bring me a cake.